Most people go to the theaters to watch stories of adventure, drama, and excitement. They go to experience marvels that can't be experienced in real life. They go to be amazed. Others, like us, occasionally go to count how many swear words you can get into 90 minutes. There may be something wrong with us, but there's nothing wrong with this movie as we seek to prove to you that Strays is not that bad. Welcome one and all to It's Not That Bad, the podcast that looks for A grades in B movies. Now, normally, we like to let a movie breathe a little. We like to let a movie have its theatrical release and make its way to physical media or streaming, and we like to see how it's going to do at the awards, quote unquote. But every now and then, a movie pops up in the theaters and we really want to go see it, and then we realize it qualifies, so now it's a business trip and we go to the theater anyways. And that happened today because we went to go see Strays, and here to join me is the cutest puppy of all, my lovely wife, Carrie. Carrie, how are you doing today?
Aw, you're just doggone adorable. What was it? Face? No. What was the dog's name?
Reggie!
No. He calls me Shane.
Yeah, we're going to need therapy after this one here.
Yeah, we were like one of three couples in the movie.
It felt less like a night at the movies and more like an intervention at that point. It's like, oh, wow, there's no one here except for people like us who probably need to have a good talking to. There might be something wrong with us. But it's one of those things where we saw the trailer. It's like, okay, we have to go see this film because it is a very Carrie movie.
It truly is. And I loved every minute of it. So broken.
Every minute of it.
There were a few, oh my God, there were a few scenes where I literally guffawed in the theater and I'm like, they're going to think I'm crazy.
Now, if you haven't figured it out by now, normally on this podcast, I like to bleep out our swear words. And that's because, A, just in case our kids are listening, you know, we don't want them to think that their parents are potty mouths, even though we're kind of potty mouths. But beeps are funny. Beeps are funnier. But today, you've already heard it, we're replacing the bleeps with dog barks. So if you're wondering why all of a sudden you hear a dog barking, no, it's not because our dog is here joining us for the show. It's because one of us has said...
Which, side note, I'm not letting our dog watch this movie, nor am I going to let our boys watch this movie, but you know they're going to tune in to this podcast because they very much want to watch the movie. And I had to explain without explaining why they cannot watch this movie.
So count the number of dog barks in this episode of It's Not That Bad and you'll have a little bit of fun. But before we hit more on the bark button, it is time to take 2023's Strays and trailerize it.
Abandoned, cast away, left to fend for themselves in the dirty alleys and streets. Man's best friend becomes man's worst nightmare in Strays. Meet Reggie, a dog who will have to surmount the impossible to get back home. On the way, he'll commit mass murder, partake in an orgy involving inanimate objects, witness a squirrel on squirrel gangbang, drink, do drugs, get locked up, urinate on and be urinated on, and commit atrocities, the likes of which would scare the crap out of that clown from Terrifier. It's like if Homeward Bound was directed by the love child of Quentin Tarantino and Chris Rock. Will Ferrell is the dirtiest hobo in Strays. Rated R for really bad dogs.
my God. Okay, you literally just gave away the entire movie without giving away the entire movie. And you pretty much summarized the entire 90 minutes.
Yeah.
Well done.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, and I'm going to get this out of the way right now. It's not like we're the only ones who spoiled this film. The trailer spoiled a lot of this film.
No,
yes, it did
not. It did not. There was so much more to this movie. There were some definite surprises.
Oh, there were some surprises, that's for sure.
I did not see that coming. But you know what? The heart of this movie, instead of watching a buddy movie about a couple of friends going on a road trip and through unfortunate circumstances along the way, their bond becomes stronger. No. The same formula, but with dogs. And it was lovely.
You describing that as lovely?
Really broken.
I'm going to question now anytime you sit there and say, oh, sweetie, you're being so lovely today. I'm like, what? What did I do?
I can defend this movie because you know what? At the core, it really was a buddy movie.
Oh, yeah.
And the friendships, the PFFs along the way.
By the way, spoilers like a mofo. Okay. But the thing is, though, and before we get into like the breakdown and all that, and I don't think we're really kind of breaking any new ground here because these are actually scenes in the trailer. There were certain comedy bits that were in like the Red Band trailer that I wish they had held back on. Because there were moments that I wish that we could be surprised with. Like the whole Dennis Quaid thing, right? Like this reminded me of Pop Star Never Stop, Never Stopping, right? Where Seal is in the trailer being attacked by a tiger. I want that moment to spring up on us. Or Game Over Man, where they actually had Shaggy in the trailer and it spoiled that moment. The Dennis Quaid gag needed to be left out of the trailer, right? Yes, there were still some shocking moments, but it's one of those things where I think back to South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. You know, this is pre-YouTube, right? This is pre the internet having the Red Band trailers. Right? And you go in and you're like, well, it's a South Park movie, so it's going to be a little bit crass, and I'm sure they swear a little bit. And then they start singing Uncle and you spend the rest of the 90 minutes laughing hysterically and trying not to poop or pee yourself because you're laughing so hysterically. Like, I want that shock moment. Team America, World Police did the same thing. You got a little bit in the trailer, and then you watch the film, and it's turned to 11, and that's one more than 10.
Okay, but you have to admit and honor that the whole mushroom scene was way worse than you thought it was going to be.
Oh, yes.
It took a dark turn.
but the initial moments, and I'm glad they left the one part out. And we're going to try not to spoil it because it is still in theaters. But occasionally things might come out, and we're sorry. Just go watch the movie anyways. But let's get into, before we get too deep into this here, let's figure out who's in it. It stars the voices of Will Ferrell, Jamie Foxx, Isla Fisher, Randall Park, Rob Riggle, Josh Gad, Sofia Vergara, and of course a human performance from Mr. Will Forte. It was directed by Josh Greenbaum, who most recently directed Barb and Star Go to Del Mar. And it was written by Dan Perot, who wrote the Netflix series American Vandal. Now, I did mention that we'd like to count the swear words, right? According to parentpreviews.com, there are 159 quote-unquote sexual expletives 74 scatological curses, and frequent use of mild curse and terms of deity. So that means they say a lot of and a lot of holy hell goddamn. That's a lot. That's Tarantino would be blushing.
Well, I was going to ask which of those columns fell under.
Oh, probably the sexual expletives. Right?
You made the term so fancy that I was confused about the definition of some of the...
I mean, that is a classier way to say. I mean, if you want to go to someone
is.
Like, hey, baby, what would say you and me go back to my place and sexually expletive?
I would laugh my ass off at you. I would tell you to get the fuck out of here.
Well, okay. Well, scatological curse. Okay.
Oh my God. Oh, I can't.
You can't? No.
I can't. Okay. Whew. I'll just go myself.
Okay. It's going to be one of those episodes now. But by the way, at this point right now, if you have a dog in the car while you are listening to this episode, the dog is looking at the radio going, they said what? This is also, according to IMDb, the first live action talking animal movie to receive an R rating in the US.
Well deserved.
Bravo, sirs. Bravo. According to Wikipedia, the film has a budget of $46 million. And as of our recording of this episode, it has made $23 million domestically and $32 million worldwide. So it is on track to lose a bit of money here. But I will say it is hard to have a money winner when you are dealing with, let's be honest, this is a hard R. And if any dogs were involved in the ranking, I'm sure it would be like, NC-17 for them. But, it was never, I think, going to earn its money back just because of the nature of the film and the nature of the box office these days. I feel like movies released this year and over the last couple of years, of course, have to have an asterisk on the box office because unless you're Barbie or Oppenheimer, you're probably not making the big bank.
How much was it to make?
Only $46 million. So it's not like it was a huge budget. And I think in a non-pandemic recovery, non-recession kind of year, it probably would have made its money back. But there are a lot of factors that you have to sit there and question. By the way, speaking of Barbenheimer, apparently there is a production company that is putting together a film literally called Barbenheimer, where a bunch of dolls are trying to put together an atomic bomb.
Oh, no.
Oh, yes. And it's not the Asylum.
The Farley Brothers?
No, and it's not the Farley Brothers. And it's not the Asylum. I can't remember the name of the production company, but an actual Barbenheimer film is coming. And I'm sure somewhere down the road, we're going to be talking about that film.
And when is the Mattel lawsuit?
I'm not quite sure.
Because that doesn't sound like something that the property of Barbie should be getting behind.
Don't mess with Margot Robbie.
Seriously. That doesn't seem like a good idea, friends. Don't do it.
But speaking of the box office, when this film debuted on the August 18th, 2023 weekend, it debuted at number 5 with just over $8 million. The top grossing movie that week, not Barbie, not Oppenheimer. It was actually the debut of Blue Beetle, which debuted with $25 million. Barbie was still in second with $21 million, and Oppenheimer in third with $10 million, and then Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles at number 4. So, but again, we're talking like an R-rated talking dog movie. It's not going to knock off Barbie and Oppenheimer, and of course, Blue Beetle being, a decently reviewed DC film, it's going to make some money, even though $25 million in its debut weekend, maybe not the splash they were hoping to make. But it's not like Strays took any of the money away from that film. But the reason why we are here, and it's not because we like talking dogs, is because of the critics. Over at Metacritic, this film has a Metascore of 54, and over at Rotten Tomatoes, the tomatometer is at 54%, and the audience score is at 70%. So clearly the audience is a lot like us, and they like a lot of swearing and bad, foul humor and warped sense of what's right and wrong, clearly. But let's get into why this film is actually pretty damn funny here. We'll start with Will Ferrell as Reggie. How was he for you?
He was so great. In fact, there were moments where I had to remind myself that voicing this dog was actually Will Ferrell and not Ryan Reynolds, because it just had that Deadpool kind of
vibe,
portrayal, personality.
Well, the thing is, Reggie as a dog he's a good boy.
He is a good boy.
He's a very good boy. And we have to say that, otherwise, Reggie's going to come and bite our dick off. But it was in the trailer.
You can't do
It's in the
that.
trailer.
Oh, okay.
It's in the trailer. Nothing I say is going to spoil it more than the trailer did. I'm still mad. But the thing is, Reggie is a good boy. And he's naive. And he's youthful at heart. And he's not ruined by the streets at this point, right? So you have to have a very whimsical kind of feel to it. And yes, Will Ferrell at times did sound like Deadpool, but I think more so like Free Guy.
Right. Can I just say, though, fundamentally, that this movie is wrong to begin with? And I say that because dogs are supposed to have a real sixth sense about people.
Mm-hmm.
And yet Reggie was so dedicated to his owner. He was so just trying to be accepted and loved. But at no point did he see him for the worthless piece of that he was. Like, there's something wrong with that to begin with. It was a very sad tale in that regard. Like, it really was. It was like, where was the dog instinct that this guy is really a bad person and he wants to go and live with the woman? Well,
the thing is, he didn't really have a say in the matter, right? It became like he took the dog because she wanted the dog, right? So it wasn't Reggie didn't have a choice.
But he could have tried to run away.
No, because he wanted to be with his owner, right? He's loyal. He's loyal to a fault, right? And again, that's why Will Ferrell, I think, did well in, giving him a whimsical naivete to Reggie's voice. And yeah, it's going to sound... Now anyone who goes to watch the movie, they're going to hear Ryan Reynolds in their head. So
sorry about that.
Sorry, not sorry. But I don't know if you'd want to go too whimsical or too innocent. Like I don't think you want to put someone like a Matthew Broderick voicing this. Like, it makes sense coming to Will Ferrell, right?
And the turning point too, when he started to put it together, it was like, okay, gone real.
But the thing is, you also don't want to go the other way too, like, because Reggie got a mouth on him, right? Like, it's right. But the thing is, you don't want to put someone like a Chris Rock or a Seth Rogen in there.
No,
because that would take away from the innocence of Reggie. So I think putting Will Ferrell behind that microphone was definitely the right choice. But then there's his new best friend, Bug, as voiced by Jamie Foxx.
Love.
Right?
I love that he was a Boston Terrier too.
The thing is, I mentioned like you don't want to go Chris Rock or Seth Rogen for Reggie. And I don't think you want to go harsh like a Chris Rock for Bug.
I'm just so grateful they didn't go with a Kevin Hart.
Right?
Oh. But no, Jamie Foxx was the perfect choice.
Because it's not that he's crass and vulgar. He is, but
it's like every second word was and expletively deleted.
Right.
Or what was it? A sexual
sexually
innuendo?
expletive or scatological expletive.
Right. Very, very nicely put.
I thought so.
The only other option, I could have seen a Sam Jackson.
You know what? I can't. Here's the thing. Sam Jackson, Chris Rock, even Chris Tucker, right? I think would be too abrasive. Pug's suave. Pug is street savvy. Pug is he's a leader of the strays, if you will. He's the one who's helping drive the fun for them, right? And you have to have some charisma. And I think if you had Samuel Jackson or Chris Rock or Chris Tucker or someone of that, it would make sense to hear the scatological and sexual expletive words coming out of Bug's mouth, but it wouldn't be as smooth. It wouldn't have as much character. It would just be, it would be Samuel L. Jackson in a room swearing into a microphone, right? It's you have to give him a slightly different character than Reggie.
And it would be too much like, what was that animated movie recently? It was like a kung fu. Sam Jackson voiced the Kung Fu cat.
Something like that, yeah. But that's the thing, right? Like, it's Samuel L. Jackson, right? It's expected.
Mother, brother, sister, father.
Right? And you take a look at The Secret Life of Pets, right? And Chris Rock as Snowball, right? The rabbit. That works because Snowball is crazy, right? Bug's not crazy. No. Especially
when it got to his why.
Right?
And
his Emma.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. Jamie Foxx, I think, was the perfect choice for Bug. Randall Park as Hunter, the failed police dog who's now a therapy dog. Again, perfect choice for this, in my opinion. But how was he for you?
He was so good. What a good boy. But you know what? At first, I wasn't quite clear on if he was a stray or how did he become a stray. Because he has the cone. He must have an owner if he was a retired police dog.
Yeah, I don't think Hunter and Maggie are actually strays. I think they're just homes with an open doggy door policy kind of thing. So I think they still go out and have adventure and they're friends with Bug, but I don't think they're strays.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right. The thing with Hunter, right, and because of the nature of Hunter's, failure at Police Dog Academy and becoming a therapy dog, it reminds me too much of Randall Park's character as Special Agent Jimmy Woo from the MCU in the Ant-Man movies and in WandaVision. Like, it almost feels like this is an extension of that character, and I think it works well. I don't see anyone else really in that role, but I did enjoy Randall Park in that role. But then you have Maggie, as played by Isla Fisher, who is just a comedic genius to begin with. But how was Isla Fisher for you?
Okay, first of all, two things. I want to give mad props to the absolute beautiful, it would be a collie, right?
Right, yeah.
The
Border Collie, yeah.
The Border Collie that played the character. Just an absolute gorgeous dog, very well trained. Like, I mean, some of the things where they had her like posing, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this dog is like brilliant, like very well trained. So the dog amazingly blew my mind. Mm-hmm. Very like captivating on screen, like literally stole the scenes that she was in. But Isla Fisher, it was interesting because I noticed a change in inflection or in the actual voice work. She would slip into like a really British accent, and then it would come back like into character. It was like did you notice there were a few scenes where the accent of the dog flipped, and I'm like, wait, what?
No, I didn't pick up on that.
In the scene, I think it was where they were finding that cone shape, or it was when things started to go questionable in the dynamic of the pursuit, right? And then watch it again. We'll watch it again, but the accent flipped a few times and really became stronger and then wore off. And I'm like, I wonder if that was by design. It was like the way certain lines were recorded.
But as you know, speaking from a casting point of view as well, I think they were smart in putting someone like Isla Fisher in there, and because you didn't get Wedding Crashers Isla Fisher, who was a little on the crazy side. You got more of the Now You See Me Isla Fisher, which is it's still fun and still funny, but it's a bit more, you know, the straight dog, if you will, kind of funny. You know, I think if you had taken someone like Jayma Mays or Allison Hannigan, it might have been a little bit different. Maybe a Karen Gillan would have worked in there as well. Or even, you know, and it would have been funny as hell. And Emma Watson would have been funny. You know, very much like the End of the World and her role in that. You know, you have that almost kind of having fun with the you know, the fact that you're Emma Watson in that role. But I think Isla Fisher is, you know, very not underrated, but underutilized in some of these fun type of things. But I loved it in this. And the thing is, each of the different dogs, I think, were perfectly cast for the dog's personality. It should also be noted that, according to IMDb, 95% of the dog shots are done with actual live dogs. Of course, they move the mouse, you know, digitally kind of thing, but 95% of the shots with the dogs are actual live dogs. There is some animatronic work in there, but
well, that's where I said, like, as far as the training that the dogs would have had to have, obviously they had handlers working with them in between shots, like, no doubt, right? To get them to sit or roll over and, you know, do whatever the scene called for. But they were so well trained, each and every one of the dogs. And again, they're just 4 very different types of dogs. Like, you've got the border collie, border collie
for Maggie, yep.
But isn't it a collie? Border collie is like a black and white and really shaggy. This is like beautifully long-haired collie.
But it's in the collie kind of family, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think it's border collie though. So I
still smart like a border collie, but you know.
I do apologize if I
offended that dog.
have offended a dog breed. No, it's a collie. And then
you offended that bitch.
What? Oh, and the Boston Terrier. Mm-hmm. And then like
little scrap dog of the Reggie. Yep.
Yeah, just kind of like a terrier, long hair, wire-haired terrier. I can't remember the police dog, what kind, but anyway, lovely,
big and floppy,
lovely dog, huge, like a monster dog, but a sweet huggy monster dog.
Well, you know that dog probably gives good hugs, right? Towers over you as you get the hug, but
right,
yes,
the German Shepherd. That was the
yep. But let's get to the actual humans here. By the way, I have to point out that I love the fact that Sofia Vergara is the couch, the voice of the couch in the mushroom scene. just you have to watch it to make it all understand. But let's talk about some of the humans here. And I need to point this out again. I wish the Dennis Quaid scene was not in the trailer. Like, it was a small joke, but I wish we were surprised with it. Like, I don't know about you. There were moments in this film when we were watching it where I'm like, yeah, I know what to expect, right? There was nothing more to the Dennis Quaid joke than that one line. And they blew it on the trailer. Did you find yourself at times watching this film and being disappointed because you knew what was happening?
I find myself, you had mentioned Shaggy's appearance in Game Over Man, and I found myself disappointed that there wasn't more to it. And yeah, I mean, you're right. Like, it could have been more. I don't know. Although when you see it in the trailer, you find yourself waiting for it, that moment. And then it happens and it's like, okay, there it is. That's how it plays in.
And but the thing is, had Dennis Quaid popped up every now and then to see more weird, then it would have been a running gag and it would have been funnier, right? But because it was just like the one time and they blew it in the trailer, like, stop spoiling the movies, trailer editors.
Well, isn't that what we're here for?
Moving on.
Like Narrator Dog.
Oh, Narrator Dog was funny.
Right? Like, but that was unexpected.
And that was not in the trailer.
Not in the trailer.
Again, there were moments in this film that were not in the trailer, and those are the ones I laughed at the most.
See, here we are, spoiling Narrator Dog. Now everyone's going to be waiting for Narrator Dog.
Well, just know that Narrator Dog is not what you think, and that's all I'm going to say. We're not saying what Narrator Dog says. That's like having Narrator Smurf in the Smurf films. You know he's there, you just don't know what he's going to say.
Wow, you just Smurf and ruined that. Okay.
Okay. By the way, I'm not barking out Smurf. We can Smurf all we want in this. Brett Gelman, who played the animal control officer at the pound where the dogs were locked up. You loved this moment.
Oh my God. It was so funny. It was so wrong, but it was so funny.
And I'm surprised because you at one point you're like, whoa.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
This film gets messy in many, many, many different ways. That's all we're going to say.
Yep.
I mean, again, small role, not in the trailer, was very funny because it was new to us. And of course, there's Will Forte as Doug, the very, very, very bad man. But how was the bad man for you?
I was happy that he got his
comeuppance. Right.
That's all I'm going to say about him. He's a horrible man. And I still can't get over that a dog couldn't sniff that out, couldn't find that he's a bad man.
Okay, but
run away from bad man.
But aside from the character himself, how is Will Forte in that role?
I mean, I think he was absolutely perfect for, because I mean, like really, he had like one main line, and that was, yeah, he was excellent at playing a real piece of, and I was really happy with the ending. That's all I'm going to say. He did well.
The funny thing is, when you take a look at his body of work, and I just pulled out some credits here from his filmography. He did voice work in the animated series Housebroken, where there's another foul-mouthed animal property. He played the voice of Pissmaster from Rick and Morty. He was Phil in The Last Man on Earth. He was Paul, who was Jenna's drag queen significant other in 30 Rock. And of course, he was in That's My Boy.
That's him.
Right. And he was also Phil in That's My Boy, which we covered that movie on It's Not That Bad as well. He's the one that was having sex or something like that at the strip club and like pissing all over the place. And yeah, you have to go back and watch That's My Boy now. But yes, no. He was Jenna's Schmale, the one that would cross-dress like her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's where I recognize him from.
The thing is, like, you have to have a very specific actor to be able to pull off this role because you need someone who's going to be able to make you hate that character. And the only other person that comes to mind that I think would have pulled it off might be Jason Lee.
I can see that.
Yeah.
I can actually really see that, but he deserves so much better. So I wouldn't.
But we like Jason Lee, but we're not going to put him in this.
I wouldn't want to change the casting. Sorry.
Right.
But,
but the thing is, because Will Forte has, very expressive ways of saying, right? It wasn't just a one-note joke played over and over and over again. It became a running thing, and that worked out really, really well. He made me hate Doug, which means that he did his job very well.
He did. He was very unlikable. Well done.
Okay, so before we get to our MVPs, I need to put this out to you here. This is a foul-mouthed, horny, dirty, expletive comedy.
I'm waiting for the bad. Those are all good points.
But that's the thing. But there's the thing, right? You have to be in a certain mood for this film. And is this the tonic that the theater needs? Because, let's be honest, right? You had a lot of superhero films, very serious films. And yeah, you had Barbie in there as well, right? Does this film work well in the theaters, or is this something that should be more for a streaming service?
That's a good point. I could see this, going straight to Netflix. Mm-hmm. I can't see Disney Plus picking it up, but then again, I've seen Stranger Things, but you know what? To me, this is know what you're getting into. Don't go in with high expectations because it's about swearing dogs.
Right.
But aside from that, and when you look past the foul-mouthed pups, maybe doing some bad things. They're good dogs, but they did some bad things in their lives. At the very heart of it, there was a lot of heart because these 4 dogs, or arguably this one, the Boston Terrier, the one stray,
Bug.
Right?
Yep.
And he's kind of been on the streets for so long that he knows the streets well. And yet he takes this naive, very sweet, very loyal pup. And, and really, he just wanted to find his way home. He was just looking for his way home. But as the story goes, they build this bond. And it's just these 4 dogs, but, this group of dogs is going to do anything and walk. I don't know how many days they were walking. These poor pups, they must have been so tired, but they did this just to make things right.
I think, too, there's a limit as to what works as far as a crass, and I think it's probably the best way to describe this film, crass, kind of humor film, right? And movies like South Park and Team America, I think really hit all the right notes to make those films work. And then you have a film like Sausage Party, and you think it's going to work, but it kind of falls flat a little bit after a while.
But it's amazing that you call this movie crass because, okay, so the dogs may have a potty mouth, but they've been on the streets for so long that that's their defense that they've built up, right?
Okay, but there's more to it than just the swearing. There's a lot going on in this film, right? But So I'm going to ask you, because recognizing that you in past episodes have had to defend yourself as not being a psychopath.
Yeah. Well, here I'm defending the dogs that, really it's a lovely buddy story.
Yeah.
And
it
they're just sticking together.
And it plays off of the tropes of like the animal trying to find its way home kind of movies, like A Dog's Journey or Homeward Bound, or movies like that. Like
this is nothing like A Dog's Journey.
No, I get
Don't
that.
sell it that way.
No, but there is a genre of film that is pet finds way home, right? Like, and it kind of plays on some of those tropes. If they were directed by the guy who did Road Trip and Euro Trip, but I have to sit there and say, was there anything in this film that was too much for you? And this is, I know, grading on a big curve here because you have a really warped sense of humor, but was there anything you found that would be too much for your average viewer?
I think fundamentally that moment where Reggie starts to put together the lifetime of abuse that he's endured.
Not physical. Like,
no.
Like there's.
Well, how many times is he pushed and, thrown off the couch and basically like.
It should be noted that at no point do you watch this and go, wow, they were violent towards this dog.
It was more psychological abuse, which is even worse.
Yes, but if you are sensitive to animals being harmed in films, you're not going to see that. So let's put that out there. As it's not like that. But continuing with your point.
But that's exactly it. Is that the scars ran deep because they were psychological. Mm-hmm. I mean, everything from the name calling, or like the constant attempts of trying to get him lost.
Fetching.
Right? Like, really, that was hard to watch. I think that was the hardest part. Is just realizing what a rough life he's had.
So it's not like the humor went, crossed over any insane lines. It's just that because you are a dog lover, to think of a pet being so ignored and pushed away, that's what hit you.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong, there were definitely some lines crossed. I'm not gonna deny that. But I think really the hardest part to watch was that, or when we went into Bug's backstory. That was probably the hardest to watch because, again, it was just, it was sad. It's sad to see the backstory, and it would have been interesting to see, I think maybe the other stories. Yeah. But if they're not strays, then.
Exactly. I mean, we got a little bit of, Hunter, our therapy dog. We got a little bit of his backstory, but we didn't get the flashbacks, and Maggie was just Maggie. But it's come time now. So, Carrie, who is your MVP of Strays?
Why am I not prepared for this question?
It comes every episode.
I know. Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna say the animal control officer.
Okay, as played by Brett Gelman.
It was so. You know what? He was just so crazy that I think it was pretty funny.
It's funny that in a movie filled with dogs, you went with a human.
Or no, there's
say,
another character, but I don't want to bring it up.
I say it's funny because my MVP is actually Will Forte as Doug. And I think it's because Will Ferrell, I expect to be funny. Jamie Foxx, I knew he was going to be good in the role. I mean, Isla Fisher is always great. Randall Park, I really enjoyed him as Hunter. But the thing is, you need Doug to be a human being. And I think Will Forte did it in a way that you can still laugh, but you can also still cheer when Doug gets what's coming to him. And it's so out there that you're shocked, but you're still laughing. And
then you're like, I shouldn't be laughing at this. But you're still laughing.
But it takes good acting skill to be able to create a character that, you equally hate and laugh at and laugh with at the same time. And because you can go too far. There is too much asshole, right? You can go full asshole and it doesn't work anymore. And you're just like, no, let the dogs kill him and eat him and whatever. Or you can be too wishy-washy and you're like, well, maybe he isn't that bad a guy. No, I think Will Forte hit all the right notes for us to hate him and still laugh with him. But Carrie, thank you for coming to the movies with me and going down Stray's Road. Now, dear listeners, we want to know what you guys think. So let us know on social media at NotThatBadCast, or you can go to our website at NotThatBadCast.com. And while you're there, if there is a movie out there that you think is unfairly maligned or is just so bad that there's no way in heck that we can find anything good to say about it, let us know and we will watch it, we'll dissect it, and we will find the good things to say, because we are looking for those A grades in B movies. Until next time, Carrie, you are lovely. Audience, you're the best as pups. This is It's Not That Bad. Take care, everyone.
Hey folks, Stefan Shirazi and Renee Richardson here from the Metallica Report.
And we are proud members of the Pantheon podcast family, where the best of music and podcasts unite.
We've got something pretty cool for you. We're giving away an exclusive Metallica merch package worth over $250.
That's a whole lot of Scary Guys, Skulls, M72, and other sought-after Metallica swag. And we've made it easy for you to win. Follow and share the Metallica Report, and you're in the game. Go to pantheonpodcast.com/Metallica, enter your email, and hit that button to be entered to win.
And just like that, you're eligible for our monthly exclusive Metallica merch package.
And guess what, rockers? You can enter every month, so just do it. And while we love our global brothers and sisters, the lawyers won't let us ship outside the U.S.